I'd like to discuss about this is who we are. I would say like example, you go down the street and you meet the random person, and this person asks you like, what do you do? You say you're a dancer, and then like, what kind of dancer? And what do you answer? You can say like, maybe I'm contemporary dancer as an adjective, like, you know, I'm doing contemporary things. Or you could say like, I'm a hip hop dancer, for you, the person understand that you are cool, you know. You do something cool things. Or you could say, I'm a popping. Would it understand, would not? Maybe could be two words. One word for the wide audience, like for any person around, and another term, I would say, for us, like how we can define ourselves. Because obviously for me it's not the dance styles which define us, because really many of us study from the popping, but not at all, and we are not all poppers, not wavers, and etc. If it's movement, then how is it the movement or something else, and what defines this movement? So this is the question which I want to hear answers from our judges, speakers, and maybe someone gonna start.
I'll do it.
It's going. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Inox. My real name is Inox Bascuñana. I'm from Alicante, southeast coast of Spain. Always surrounded by the sea when I was a kid. Always going to the beach. The thing that affected me the most, I think, in my dance, and you can see it, is actually like watching water and how it crashes with the sand. I've always lived 2 minutes to the sea, really, by car, so really close to it. My first contact with dancing was in 2011, around 2011, and it's because I was looking for this group of music, electronic music from the USA, kind of like mixed with hip hop, called LMFAO. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
Party Rock.
yeah.
Party Rock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I was like, okay, I want to watch some video clips. I want to see these guys, you know, like dance and see what they're doing. And in one of those video clips, I came across some guys with white masks. And I was like, that's actually cool. Okay, like that looks really good. These guys are the Jabberwockies, right? I think everybody knows them. So I was writing like, what is this dance style? Because I wanted to learn it, right? I didn't want to learn it because of any artistic. You know, I always listened to metal music, and hip hop was not actually my thing. But I was like, okay, I want to go to the club and just like hook up with girls, and the best thing to do it is with dancing in my country. So I was like, I want to learn some cool shit, you know. The first thing that came across was the wave. Yeah, I learned waving, if you want to call it waving, the full style. The first thing that came into my learning process was the wave. Before I did popping, before I did any animation, strutting, whatever, it was the wave. And I think it was basically because it resembled always my infancy with the water. Like, I like how things react in the world. I also did physics, and I love the way that water crashes, or it creates vortexes, or it creates, you know, movement. I've always been a fan of video games with physics and how the developers made some things react with other things. And this is why I think I chose waving and popping and whatever you want to call it, that makes like illusions, because I was always a fan of how things crash into others, how things flow into others. And from there, I just did a lot of dancing. I spent years dancing for like 8 hours a day, crazy. In Spain, we don't have any OGs, so by myself, just be like, I guess this is what I do. And then battling a lot. I met Robozee years ago in Germany, just like funky styles, maybe Berlin, something like that. Crazy.
Maybe this show that you had with Two Face.
Ooh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, oh shit. And yeah, dancing a lot, traveling a lot. Right now it's been like 55 countries, thanks to the dance. And now I live partly in Colombia, being a DJ for reggaeton, which has nothing to do with popping, I know, but it has a lot to do with dancing. and 6 months a year doing popping, Europe, China, Asia, whatever. That's what I do.
The event which we have here, which is involved in popping, waving, and something else like all styles. Is that a common thing? Like it's obviously not the first kind of event you've been in,
No.
and there is some kind of trend. And how you could describe these kind of events? What is this about?
You mean about events where
Yeah,
popping have several categories?
Yeah. Is it popping events or not?
What do you mean?
I mean, are you popping dancer?
I am a popping dancer, yes.
But if
I consider myself a waver first because I learned waving first.
can
But
we,
I consider myself
can we choose a dance style which represent the whole event or not?
Like umbrella term or?
Yeah. Like back in the days was like, for instance, like back in the days we not we, but usually it was like popping,
Yeah.
and it called popping is umbrella term for. Nowadays it's a bit different.
Yeah.
And what the term what because I heard some people say it's all boo-boo.
Okay.
Some people might say it's illusionary dance dance, or
Okay.
it's something else.
Well, even though I think the styles of waving has nothing to do with robot, for example. I mean, they're culturally bound, yes. But if you ask my mom, am I doing the same dance? She will be like, no, that's different. And I will be like, I agree. Like, that's different styles with different techniques and different methods. However, they belong to the same culture and to the same, how you call it,
The hourglass.
the hourglass of, like this in
That's right,
Spanish and
you-
Budo, I don't know how to call it. But my idea would be, how do we call the events that are like just the Budo, that have popping, locking, house? How do you call that?
Urban dance.
I just call it street dance.
Just call it just the ball.
Yeah, I would just call it street dance events. Actually, if you ask me, okay, how do you call this culture of popping, waving, animation, robot, street, whatever? I would say that for me, I will always learn it as a Boogaloo culture, which belongs to the funk culture. So it's kind of like subcultures, like different styles. But I think I would call it Boogaloo culture. Some people from the US will disagree. Some will agree. But that's how I would do it. I would say it. That's what it would be like.
Yeah. Just curious. What if you are in an airport, like any airport around the world, and a random person comes to you and asks, "What dance do you dance?"
I would say I do popping. Yeah. I want to say it is like if you go to a doctor and you tell your symptoms to the doctor, your doctor will probably not tell you the whole name of the illness that you have. He will tell you have a cold, right? So this is, for me is the same. When I talk about my dance with people that don't know about the dance, like my grandpa, I will say, Grandpa, I do popping. But if we talk about it here with experts of the dance and movers, I will say, well, guys, I'm a popper, but I also feel like a waver. Or I feel like X, or I do these certain styles, and I know they will understand me. Just because I imagine you guys are also doctors.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that because I feel like probably boogaloo or popping could be like terms that could be interchangeable, depending on who you're speaking to and where you're at. But like I thought like I've heard a lot of conversations about it, like especially nowadays because of like it's not an umbrella term, but it was an umbrella term. Like popping was the umbrella term back in like I don't know, a couple of years back. People would have thought popping was everything.
They still
But
do
then-
in some parts.
Yeah, I mean, still, like, well, I don't blame anyone because I feel like you're used to it. Like, that's how, like, you kind of grew up. Like, we'll talk about the history of, like, our dance scene and stuff. Like, Johnny mentioned to me, like, here in Serbia, people didn't know it was even popping until 2009. They thought it was electric boogie, just right? So it was like, So it depends where you are, obviously, you know. But yeah, I think I feel like the term boogaloo in the context of culture makes more sense, because I know like when you hear the word boogaloo, someone thinks maybe it's like I'm electric, and then obviously someone that's waving is not gonna feel like he's a boogaloo dancer. But if we take into account the boogaloo culture, which like the word boogaloo derives from, I don't know, the 1800s or something, from Africa. It means to dance, so, and it's like, it's a big part of like the soul funk era, the word boogaloo. So if you look at it into this context, like the culture boogaloo, it does encapsulate all of these dances. I'd say, like, so even waving is a boogaloo traditional dance, so is animation, so is tutting, and all of these styles that we do. So I feel like in the context of culture, it does bind all of these dances, but I do feel like it does feel a bit weird just to call it boogaloo. So you kind of, if we could kind of, my opinion, I like the way you can make it like interchangeable, boogaloo / popping, because most people are used to saying popping, and like it's kind of always been, and let's say popping has been the most prominent and most popular kind of dance style out of all the styles. Obviously there will be trends. As you can see with waving, like it was kind of popular back in the days, then stopped, now it's super popular again, so it kind of comes back around. And when it comes back around, it just like, obviously it's a culture at the end of the day, so I feel like boogaloo is a binding term that could help us, because I don't know if you think like, think about like the kind of the top tier dancers in our in the world that we think of, like you've got a Robozee, you've got a Inox, you've got a Slim Boogie, you know, you've got like, so if you look at popping events, you know, like, is Slim Boogie just a popper? Like, he's not just a popper, but he wins all the popping events, right? He'll be like, you know what I mean? Or like MT Pop, or like, they never go, they'll never just like do pure like popping, right? Like I don't even think Popping Pete does pure popping. He'll do like a wave, he'll throw a wave in there, he'll throw like, you know, boogaloo rolls, he'll like, there's no one dancer here, or that I know at least, that can just like straight up pop. So I feel like popping is, I think it's a big integral part in the whole role, but it's definitely something also that's kind of in, historically it's probably in the middle, like a lot of like robot started before popping, you know, and then like it can't be obviously called the whole umbrella term, because like you can't encapsulate like robot, let's say, because that started before, right? Or like posing, or like all these things like Oakland Boogaloo, because I'm not sure, I think who coined the term popping, it was like the EBs, right? They kind of said it first, I think. Before that, I don't know if they were saying it.
I think it was the people, right?
Or was it the people,
wasn't it
yeah.
the people like, oh, it looks like he's popping or something like that?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Like,
I think so.
There was also a song.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you know what I
like
mean.
songs like, you know,
Just
in the
popular
funk era,
slang.
Pop What You Got,
Yeah.
or
It was
but the
popular
Pop,
slang.
I think Master Fish told me there was a song, it was called The Pop. So
At the end of the day, like that term came later, I guess. When before that there were other.
So officially it was on Soul Train, even with Electric Boogaloos.
Yeah.
When Popping Pete, I'm doing popping, right?
Yeah.
With the whole the styles. So yes.
Can I summarize? Like, well, what would be the word for you for the regular person?
I would also say popping, because like my subjective feeling, like to me, it's if we're asking, like if you're just asking me outside of this conversation, yeah, I'd say popping, because that's how I grew up with it, that's how I learned it. Like, you know, it's kind of how I'm sentiment, like it has a sentimental value to me, like personally, so I'd always say popping. And obviously it has been the most like kind of popular term, and everyone knows it as that, so it's just easier like that. But like when we're talking about events, it's good. I feel like nobody will be excluded in the sense if we call it boogaloo / popping, because, and I'm not saying electric boogaloo, I'm not saying Oakland boogaloo, or like I'm saying like the culture boogaloo, in which all the dance styles that everyone definitely does here, it does like encapsulate this. So I would say to a random person, popping, yeah. But when we're talking about like events and like probably boogaloo / popping.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, but you have a question.
Just shortly, it's the
Yes.
same thing with the names. Somebody can call me, for example, Nicola, but I'm not just Nicola. I'm as well Planka, I'm Afri, I'm Johnny, I'm this, I'm that. You know. So, but it's the kind of
That's a good, that's a good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
To don't go deeper than this, it's very understandable like
Yeah.
this to say. You know.
This is one case. So I started in '98. In '98, I started in a youth club because my friend did a backspin, a breaking move, right? And then I was like, oh, I want to do this too, because I saw something in the television that I really was connecting with, right? I saw the Beastie Boys Root Down, yeah, the video clip, and then I saw Africa Bambaataa, Planet Rock, the video clip. So in the end of the '90s, there was the second hype in Germany with hip hop culture. So it was hip hop culture for me in the beginning, right? And the first wave, the coming hip hop culture was in '83 in Germany. But you have to realize in Germany, after the Second World War, so it was split, the Russian side and US allies side, right? So the US ally side, there were a lot of GIs from USA. They brought also culture into the country. So you have American parties, disco parties, funk parties, and so on. So it was already there, you know, when the people, the GIs, the soldiers, when they make party, it's connecting. Turkish people, you know, like German people in one party. So you had directly influence from the States in the Western Germany. But then came the hype from the television in '83. It was hip hop, it was electric boogie and break dance, right? '83. So in '98 was the second hype, and there I was 15 years old. So seeing it on television, my friend come to the youth club. I went to the youth club and it was full. It was full, 20 people, 20, 30 people dancing, making stuff. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Okay, you want to do breakdance or you want to do electric boogie? I was like, okay, what is this? Okay, because I saw it, but now comes the names, right? So this was like, for me, the beginning. And first guy showed me like, okay, electric boogie is you do waves and so wave again, the first move is a wave, and you do robot style, right? So and then the break dance is the breaking, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was connecting there with the hip hop culture, and I am the 4th generation in my city of hip hop dancer, street dancer, break dancer in this time, right? So then I have a crew. My crew name was Monkey Shit Crew. Yeah. Yeah, we were like rebels. We didn't, yeah. So and what was the goal? So the older generation just told us, learn the basics and then find your way. I'm like, okay, I learned the basics and find my way. And through finding your way, you find your own things. And suddenly you think, oh, I find my style. And then you watch a video that came from the US and you're like, oh, no, this is already happening. Okay, I have to search more. So this was like, okay. And then your crew will tell me, don't copy. You look like this dude, you know? And then I had a battle in '98 directly. I did Michael Jackson moves against him. It was popping, yes, because I didn't have basics. So it was popping Jeev, also from Offenburg, from Germany, and he had really hard pops. So I battled against him in a party cipher, not in a battle, not in a competition. He was dancing, and I was like, okay, I try. I go and show myself, you know? I had it, it was already in my spirit to go in. I didn't have skills, but I wanted to prove, right? So everybody was like, okay, he killed you. And I was like, yeah, that's true. To be honest, right? After the battle, 1 hour later, chill time, I went to him. I said, how you do this? And he's like, yeah, what's up? You know, hip hop culture. And there's so less electric boogie people, right? So in each crew was at least one electric boogie. So you have to think the crews was battling against each other, but we were so less, we share information each other more than to battle.
Yeah.
Of course, in the battle we battle, but then after the battle we're like, okay, you know this move? Oh, okay. Of course, there's human nature. With some people you don't connect, with some people you connect. It's human nature. So, and then he showed me the pop. That the pop is from here. And he's like, okay, practice this. And then I'm like, okay, I was practicing all the time. I didn't get it. And then I lay down in my bed watching television. I was laying like this. And then I make this and like, oh, this is the muscle. And then I'm like, okay, I have to turn. And then, so it's not like tutorial YouTube and stuff like this, right? I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, small, you know, to feel this muscle here. It's like, okay, how I can. And then I was like, okay, I turn my hand, and then I stand up, I practice, and I went to the youth club, I practice. So this happens every time, jams, hip hop jams, rappers, graffiti writers, and b-boy crews, ciphers, battles in the ciphers, conversation, hip hop culture, right? It wasn't the competition, you come, you get a number, pre-select, it wasn't this. Not this, not at all. It was like a flyer, no internet. Okay, let's go. Maybe there's some electric boogie guy there. Let's, you know, and popping, yeah. And then you go, and then you have two guys that are like, oh, okay, let's make a cipher, woo!
Yeah.
You're happy, yeah?
That's so cool.
Yeah. This is like end of the 90s. And then from 2000, and then we changed the crew because some stopped dance. And then I went to the crew Battle Bunch in 2002, 2003. And there was Lil Amok, you know Lil Amok, right? Lil Amok, Rubber Legs, there's some Sefa, Semi, some people stopped dancing, but and Big Tony, we four are still active. Big Tony and Amok is like doing their, Amok you know, and Big Tony is doing music, and he's in the Olympic, and for the Olympics,
Ooh.
he do there some stuff for the next generation. And of course Rubber Legs, artist. So, what we had in Monkey Shit and even in Battle Bunch, it was like, okay, let's say we are a crew, we hang out together, I show you an idea, and you support me because we are a crew, and you're like, oh no, do it this way. I'm like, oh, okay. And the same vis-a-versa. So I'm so sorry about that.
No worries.
I don't know. Sorry, like in the camera. So we are the crew, and we support each other, and we influence each other with ideas, right? And this was also very cultural and very socio-cultural bonding. And to understand, this helps to develop your own thing. Sometimes you're lost, then you ask your crew member, man, I have this move, what can I do? And he's like, hey, you know what, you can do this and that. So this was also very nice as a crew, because you have conversations about dancing, how to dance, and how you can destroy the other crew and be individual, but be a crew, and an individual crew, let's say like this, right? So, and from 2004, Funk and Styles, Juice Debut start, so everything started to separate. So I went alone to popping battles, right? Let's say so I started 98, it was 2 years from 2000, sorry, I don't want to tell a hookah. So, from 2000, we ordered some videotapes from the States, and we waited 6 months, 4, 5, 6 months. We was like, okay, the money is gone. And then suddenly he came with a box, He's like, the tapes are here. We're like, wow. Okay, what I order Wiggles number 2. Yeah, I could choose 1, 2, or 3. I said, I feel 2. I wanted 2. I don't know why. But then in this tape, in the last scenes of the tape, he explained, I do popping, it's the electric boogaloos, it's the old man, and then, yeah, and all the, some basics. And then internet came, and then I'm like, okay, Wiggles website, checking everything out. Oh, they're basics, electric boogaloo, this is the real dance. It's not electric boogie, and so on. Okay, it's from New York, understanding a little bit the culture, Soul Train, and so on. So, little by little, more informations. And then, from the solo battles, then I started to go without the crew anymore. And then I had a crew, animatronic, with Mio, Storm, and Claw. And this was also like in this social cultural environment is building your things. This is how you build stuff, also as an individual. And of course, I was a full dogmatic electric boogaloo dancer. So I start with electric boogie, be free, and then with this mentality, I was like, okay, when I see all the electric boogaloo dancers, like Pop and Pete, Skeeter Rabbit, Pop and Taco, Sam and Wiggles, they are all different, but they do also the same style. So, okay, I can be different, but I have just to understand the style. Okay, so this was my way of thinking. And then when I started in theater in 2005, 6, also different influences came with modern